Welcome back. My name is Niclas Huschenbeth and we are continuing looking at what I call one of my best games I've played in my career, my game against Vitali Golod from 2008, and we stopped at this position after f4, and in my comments to this game I write possibly the black position is already lost. It's so bad because black is simply not having any chances for counterplay here. It's very difficult for him to come up with any ideas. He played rook b8 here. I believe when he reached this position he really wanted to play d5, but it's just not working out in his favor. I take, e takes d5, and now rook takes g4, and now queen h5. And it's just too much hanging here in the center. So for example, which moves can black play? Rook takes f4 maybe to attack the bishop on c4, but now white simply plays bishop d3, threatening mate. And after e4, rook e1, it's just too much. White is just winning here. And if knight d4 in this position, then also bishop d3, f5, and again rook e1, and you can see both these bishops are shooting x-rays down to the king, and it's not looking good for black either. What if black plays it the other way around, so if he takes actually on g4 first? Well, that doesn't quite work either. Queen takes, d5, and now f5, d takes c4, and rook g1, and once again you can see black is simply too underdeveloped here. Threatening mate, only move to protect those two squares is queen f8, but now queen h4, and well, white is winning because after queen e7, just queen h6, and now black cannot protect both squares anymore. And he will be mated soon. So let's see, rook b8. Clearly the idea was to play b5, and I thought, why not play some prophylactic move here? Bishop d5. Just preventing any kind of counterplay right away. Because now obviously black cannot play b5 because I would take on c6, and now even take with the bishop in e5, exploiting this pin. And now, well, the rook on b8 is hanging, the pawn on f6 is hanging, so it would be time to resign for black. Okay, d6, and now we have reached a similar position already previously. When we looked into some variations, I just close it down here with f5, and you see my bishop stays very strong on d5. He cannot exchange the bishop with bishop e6, and as I mentioned before, the queen is stuck here protecting the pawn on f6, and it's quite a sad task for such a strong piece like the queen, simply passively protecting a little pawn on f6, but this pawn is quite important for the king's safety, so black has to stay with his queen on e7. Now, maybe quite a strange move by him, but again, it's very difficult to play for black anyway. He played knight d8. Yeah. Okay, what happens after, let's say, a normal move, bishop d7? Well, I just bring my rook into attack with rook d1, b5, and rook d3. And black is not fast enough here on the queen side to create any kind of real threats. So b4, bishop d2, and now already I'm threatening something. If b takes a3, well, have a short look. You can stop the video how to win here with white. It's quite easy to spot. Alright, queen takes h7 of course, and mate in a few moves right here. So there's this threat in the air, so rook g7, but now bishop h6, rook bg8, and I'm already winning back the exchange, so I'm not even down any material anymore, and still my position is so dominant here. So clearly better here for white too. But he played knight d8. I believe maybe he just wants to play the knight to e6. What he also did in the game. Maybe that was his idea, his best chance he saw in playing his knight to e6. And just getting more pieces to defend his king. So now I played a quite interesting move here. I played knight a5. So for one, I was looking at maybe bringing the knight into the game over c4 and e3, and maybe even going to d5 later. And for the other, I also still wanted to restrict his chances here a little bit. Yeah. Maybe doing some action here on the queen side. And we'll see there will be some action there on the queen side later. Okay, b5. Yeah, also after b6, I just play knight c4, a5, knight e3. And well, still I'm clearly better. It's not over yet, but of course it's so difficult to play for black, and I have very good chances. So he wanted to prevent this plan of mine to play my knight to c4. So he played b5, rook d1, rook b6. Well, I'm just ignoring what he's doing on the queen side because it just doesn't matter really. Rook d3, bringing my last piece kind of into the attack. Rook g7. Maybe he could have played knight e6 right away. But yeah, it doesn't change that much. I just take this knight, and now I have two minor pieces against the rook, and well, here I also have the option of playing bishop b4, and all these pawns might be weak in the future. So white is winning here as well. So he played rook g7, and now I played maybe the only slight inaccuracy in the whole game. I played rook h3. It would have been better to play bishop d2 first, because actually the only idea black has is to play knight e6, and now I can just take and play bishop to c6, and again we have this idea of bishop b4, and well, yeah, black is just losing. So rook h3, but now he missed his chance. He should play knight e6 here right away. He played bishop d7. After knight e6, he still can fight on definitely. So I had seen this move and had planned knight to c6, but still it's not completely clear definitely. Black is still fighting here. So what now? Queen c7, maybe. F takes e6, f takes e6, queen takes f6, e takes d5, e takes d5, king g8, bishop a5 might be a possible line here, winning back the exchange, and white is clearly better. Or another option for black, what I calculate in the game, is rook takes c6, bishop takes c6, knight g5, rook e3, bishop b7, bishop takes b7, queen takes b7, and now queen e1, with the idea also h4, and yeah, well, obviously white is also so good here in this position. But still, it's not over yet. Okay, in the game he played bishop d7, and now bishop d2. Of course, bringing another piece into attack. The bishop was not really doing anything anymore on c3. So knight e6 now, but now I don't have to take. That's the difference. I don't have to take. Before I had to take because otherwise black would play his knight to f4 or g5, but now obviously this is not possible anymore. Because, for example, now knight g5, I take on g7 and queen h6, king g8 and rook h5, followed by h4, and notice that the queen is still standing on e7 protecting pawn on f6, and you cannot play queen f8 because I would just take the pawn on f6. And yeah, what else? Well, let's take a look at the game. I would say rook g8. And now, how to continue? Because funnily enough, it looks like I'm just about to mate, but I'm not, because the knight and the bishop are kind of dominating each other. If I would like to play my bishop somewhere, but wherever I play the bishop, he can play his knight. So, for example, bishop g5, knight takes g5, and protecting pawn h7. That wouldn't be good. The same is true for bishop f8. Knight takes f8 again, and also bishop g7 doesn't work. Now he can take with the knight. Well, he can take with the king, for example, or just with the rook, protecting h7 once again. So it was quite frustrating for me that there was really no way for also bishop e3, again knight g5. No, wait, bishop e3, not knight g5 now. Bishop e3 would be possible, definitely, and attacking this guy on b6 and threatening mate as well. But black is still holding on here, knight f8. Of course, I'm still, well, clearly better. But I played knight to b7, and you might ask, what is he trying to do? Maybe my opponent was thinking the same thing. Like, why is he playing his knight to b7? What the heck is going on here? And I say we do another short break, and in the last video you will see what my idea was behind this move, knight b7. So see you in part 3 of my game Huschenbeth against Golod.